thing you really need to know is your customer. Understand your customer on the deepest level that you possibly humanly can. All of that said, a lot of what we are going to be demoing at Level Up this year is going to be around that, how to use AI not just to create content or not just for copywriting or not just for the shiny stuff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Level Up Your SaaS channel. This is Jenna Lettingham and I own this channel. We bring weekly and sometimes daily show videos to the show. We talk all things agency and SaaS life. So today I have here from HeyLevi, Renee. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Ruheene, actually.
Raheen. Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Beyond introduced us, and so I'm so glad to have you on here today and showcase you and demonstrate the power of HeyLevi and like what it does for your users, specifically for SaaS users, for today's purpose. But I know you guys do a standalone now. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Cool. Well, without further ado, if you want to take the reins, I'm so excited to learn more about it today and showcase what it does.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And I think in a nutshell, Hey Levi was really designed to take away the headache that not just that AI solves in general, but also the headache of, I think a lot of us marketers trying to find the perfect prompts, trying to understand how to structure these prompts, trying to understand how much context to give it, what context to give it. Is the context we're giving it actually representative of our brand? So a lot of those things, and then apart from all of that, even us, even those of us who are actual marketers who've been doing this for a long time, we know that there's a different framework that works best for every different use case. And so trying to put all of that together to use something like ChatGPT sometimes, goes great, and sometimes it takes a few hours to get the kind of output or result that you're looking for. And so that's really where Hey Levi was born. A little bit about my background. I used to work for in the visual effects industry here in the Bay Area. So I've worked for, on with a smaller studio, but for larger companies like Marvel. And so I got to do a lot of cool stuff with, movies like The Avengers, Iron Man 2, Spider-Man 3, like all of those different movies. And I learned so much about storytelling through those years. So I spent 8 years doing that. And there
What
was
did you
so
do for
much.
that?
What did I do for that?
Yeah.
I was a production manager, so visual
Oh,
effects,
wow.
so post production, yeah, different from special effects. And I know that those two terms get confused a lot, but special effects are more like lighting and camera effects that happen on set. Visual effects or whatever happens in post production. So we used to get all the footage, what we called plates, and so we would do all of the post production visual effects on it. So I used to be a production manager on specific scenes throughout the movie.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is mostly because there's so much that I learned about storytelling, from that, and how everyone has a story, and it's really about understanding not just your own story but your customer's story, right? So
Mhm.
if you have a business of any kind, whether you're a SaaS agency or not, it's about understanding your customer's story and where you fit into their story and not the other way around. And so there's, I going through like those 8 years of movie production and post production, and then getting into marketing after that. I also got to work on the launches for the Apple iPhone 5 back in the day. And I love comparing that with, how the Amazon Fire phone was launched 2 years later. I was a part of both of those launches, and there was just so much learning to take away from both of those things. And so all of that combined, into what I like to call the storytelling positioning approach to really selling anything and making sure that you stand out in your market. So yeah, that's what I do. That's what gets me excited, and that's why Hey Levi was born.
Very cool. So how'd you choose? Because before we went live, you talked a little bit about how you were a SaaS agency owner. Are you still doing that?
No, no. So I found my calling, and it
Yeah.
wasn't doing SaaS through an agency, through a marketing agency. So my story with GHL is I actually discovered GHL because I started working with another GHL agency owner who's wildly successful today, and I'm super proud of her. But that's where my journey started in 2020 is when I started working with her. I ended up getting hired as one of her tech support agents, and I had never heard of GHL before. So that was fun. I had to learn GHL on the fly. And I was also one of her Facebook ads coaches. And so that was my first introduction to GHL, and I loved it so much. And I figured, I've always liked to build templates and tools, and so I started building my own templates and tools. Decided that it may be worth launching my own agency, which I did for 2 years. But I was always so entrenched in building stuff that I wasn't the best agency owner, in all honesty. And so I just realized that wasn't my calling. And when I started to work with other GHL agencies with these templates and tools and things that I would build for them, that's where I really found my calling. And so that's why I ended up, closing that chapter and really diving into HeyLevi and helping other agency owners with HeyLevi.
Very cool. I love how the little foundation story started. That's really neat. So,
Mm.
can you show us a demo?
Oh, of HeyLevi?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see if I can figure out the present. I know you gave me a little tutorial, so let's see how good I listened to instructions. Okay. So this is the white label version. This is inside of a GHL agency, of course. And this is the actual live account that we use for ourselves. So, the whole idea behind HeyLevi is that, again, I was talking about like not having to give AI constant context about your business, about your customer. And so everything that we do with HeyLevi all centers around playbooks, or more specifically, messaging playbook. So the idea is that you dial in your brand messaging playbook, which is at a brand or business level. And then for every offer that you have a product messaging playbook with more dialed in customer avatars. So an example of that is, for HeyLevi, we have an elevator pitch that sits right up on top. This is the base of the whole app. And so anybody on our team, we make sure that everyone's speaking the same language about, what we do and how we help people and who we help. This is our customer avatar. Again, we have different customer avatars, but at a brand level, this is really who we serve. People who are business owners, who are trying to really dial in their content using AI, but not having it sound as generic and robotic as what you typically get from something like ChatGPT, unless, again, you feed it a lot of context, right? So again, this is one of the smaller customer avatar cards. We have a lot more detailed ones at the product level, which I'm happy to share as well. But just as an overview, this is the brand narrative. So again, this is actually your customer avatar's journey with your brand. Their pain point is how you fit into their story. Again, your positioning, your brand's positioning in their lives and their narrative, the solution that you provide. And of course, as marketers, we all know that whenever you talk about the solution or the benefits of something, you also want to talk about the risk of not taking action right now, right? That's really what drives the point home. And we're all psychological, emotional beings. And, like it or not, humans tend to react faster and quicker to fear rather than to positive goals. And so you always want to, I don't believe in scare tactics or fear tactics, but you always want to let your customers know what's at stake, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of that is dialed in by the AI, including your value propositions, taglines, and then of course colors. We're building like logo and fonts into this as well. But really, it's everything to do with your brand here, your brand narrative, whatever makes your brand special and unique. And then we do this at a product level as well. So again, whether it's a product or service or offer, we dial it in on an offer basis. And then that's what gets fed into all of the content modules. So as an example of what the content modules look like, this probably looks like any other AI tool, but again, it's different only because of what's happening on the back end, right? All of those playbooks are getting pulled in on the back end. And so let's say we wanted to, let me just pick a random one as an example. Where's my favorite? It's the email campaign. I love showing that off because it's a quick one. Here, this one. So let's say I want to just send out a quick email with a promo or an offer to my audience. Now I'm not having to type in anything or think about anything. All of that context is already preloaded, pre-built into the app, into my account. So I can just go in here and select a product. Now, of course, we've been doing a lot of demos, so you'll see things like Kajabi here as well. But let's say, actually, let's just go with Kajabi. Let's pretend that we sell Kajabi. And so that's our product. And now it's going to pull in everything, right? So it's already pulled in my target audience from this product playbook. I have all of my dialed in personas here. I can hover over them to see which persona or customer avatar I want to target with this piece of content. And again, you can imagine trying to feed all of this context into ChatGPT. You can imagine what a nightmare it can turn into when you're trying to like copy and paste all of this into a conversation. So let's say I want to pick one. It's already pulled in everything from my product and my brand playbooks. And let's say I just hit next. Now it's going to use my unique brand voice, my positioning, my customer avatars, all the information it already has to create an email that is like, very me and without me having to think too much about it. So here I've been testing brand voices here, and we're building a new brand voice feature right now. But this is very playful, very humorous, and so it's got a lot of flair to it. So it's pulled that in from my brand playbook, and yeah, you can kind of see what it created. Kajabi, the ultimate buddy for creators who want to turn their passion into profit. Why Kajabi is your new BFF. Here's where it's going to pull out all of the unique value props that it has in the playbook. That out. And again, all of this is editable. And then once you're happy with it, you just save it. So that's kind of how the whole app works for different kinds of content.
Very cool. And does it have an integration into HighLevel?
Not a direct one. We are limited by what the with what GHL's API lets us do, and also what we've seen is stable. In all honesty, we wait for things to like stabilize on the API front before we'll start like deep integrating into any parts of it. So right now, it is a copy and paste process.
Okay, very cool. It's still really neat, like be able to spit out something that's that good right there. Very neat. Very cool. Is there anything else like do you have any image AI like within the platform?
Yeah, so a bunch of presets again are, we don't want anyone to have to worry about like fussing with prompts, and so we have a ton of like presets that are built in.
Very
You
cool.
just kind of pick the look you're looking for, but whether you want it to be square, horizontal, or vertical, and then you give it a quick description. And so, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, let's do one for a window treatment dealer. So it'd be a business owner basically who owns a window treatment company.
What do you want to see in the image? Do you want to see them
Like a
doing
behind window treatments behind them and them having a notepad.
with window treatment? I have to be honest with you. I have no idea what a window treatment dealer does exactly. I mean, I'm using my imagination here.
Like plantation shutters, shades, blinds.
Is that kind of what we're going for?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's a bunch of advanced settings as well. But even if you're not like, if you want to get technical and like really finesse the lighting or the camera that you want to use and all of that stuff, there's options for that as well. But you usually 9 times out of 10 will get something pretty cool just right out of the box.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he looks kind of
Okay.
bored, but there you go.
No, I think yeah, it's pretty cool. Out of the box right there, and it's got a nice little image.
Yeah, we could have told the AI what expression we wanted. Obviously, again, the more specific you
Yes.
want to get, the better. Then the AI knows exactly what you're trying to create. But yeah, that was using the 3D animation preset and that little prompt that we gave it.
Yeah, that's cute. He reminds me of a little circus character.
With very nice hair, I have to say.
Yeah, very flowy. Very cool. Well, anything else you want to show us and like what you got back there or
I
demo?
mean, I could spend all day going over it. There's just so
Yeah.
much to it. You really any piece of content that you need, you can create through this. So
Okay.
um that's just saving it to my account for me. So give me a second there. But everything from like business plans, like if you want an end-to-end business plan on, including like what you could actually use as a baseline for pitching to investors, this will do it for you. Again, all of the information from your playbook, it just pulls it in. So even if you're like, I don't know what's supposed to go into a business plan, how do I even create one? And this doesn't have to be if you're not pitching to an investor, it doesn't matter. Even if you're just looking to grow your agency, for example, and you're just looking to I'll give you an example of what it does. But even if you're just looking to create a blueprint, right? And you're like, I want to grow, but I don't know how. I want to take my agency to the next level. I want to make it bigger. I want to get more customers. I don't know how. So this is kind of what you would do. It will give you all of the core technologies and skills that are required as you grow your company. So again, it's taking everything from my brand playbook and telling me these are some of the things. Again, we're talking about HeyLevi itself here. So it's telling me, focus on natural language processing, content management systems. And again, it's just pulled in all of these tools and skills that I would need to think about as I'm growing my team, as I'm growing my tech stack, things like that. And then in the next page, it will actually break down everything from like cost to what am I looking at in terms of expenditure, when would I break even, like a lot of the business stuff that, honestly, you only find in an MBA program. And so it will tell you like your target market segments, what your marketing and
Oh,
sales strategy should be, your funding and financial projections, which of course we always like to put a little, what's it called, little warning there that you obviously want to, fact check AI when you're using things like this. But like you can see that it will tell you what to highlight, what to emphasize, what to focus on, what kind of
yeah.
ROI you can expect in terms of percentages. And then obviously it gives you a little source there as well.
Very cool. So your platform takes and like keeps and stores all the data, whereas like I know some 30 third party like other AI platforms, you generate it once and then you kind of it doesn't well two things, it doesn't build on upon each other, and then two, you have to like regenerate it like when you come back to it. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So most content creators, again, they'll create the content and it goes into an abyss. We are slowly making it so already whatever you get, it's already taking from your context. Now, your playbooks are the ones that stay constant in your account. So once you have your brand playbook and you have your product messaging playbook, offer playbooks, once those are all built out, they stay as context in your account. So those get pulled in wherever you need. The actual content that you create right now just gets stored for 90 days and then it's gone.
Okay.
But we are working next year. That's our big plan. We are working on micro LLMs for each account that is going to really store a lot more context and build on whatever it is that you're creating. So
Very cool.
yeah, yeah. And then one more thing to note here is we have something called Brainstorm AI, which is kind of like what we call ChatGPT on steroids. And the idea here is just it's a conversation just like ChatGPT. You can ask the same kinds of questions, but again, without having to give it context. You just say use brand playbook. It's on by default. You can pull in a product playbook if you want to give it some context for this conversation, and then that lives here. You can come back next month, 3 months, a year from now, and pick up the conversation where you left off, and it's going to still
Mm,
have all of that context built in.
very cool. Well, is
Yeah.
there anything else we should know about Hey Levi?
Oh,
Any
yeah,
upcoming
there is.
roadmap? I know you mentioned like one upcoming roadmap that you guys have going on. Is there anything else cool coming to the platform?
Lots of cool stuff. We are really dialing in brand voices. So that's something that I think, hinted at the beginning of this, where I said I was testing it right before we got on a call, actually. But we're building out a way to really dial in your brand voice. And so you're going to be able to upload, any content that you have that you like, that you feel like really represents your brand and your brand voice. And the AI will learn from that. It will produce like an example and a description of your brand voice. You can edit it. Once you push it into your brand playbook, that will actually start to show everywhere in the app. So again, you've got your brand voice now all built in. And we have some other cool things coming up. Are you going to be at Level Up, by the way? I should have asked that right in the beginning.
No, not this year. We're thinking about maybe next year. We have three young kids, so
Oh,
my
wow.
youngest,
Okay.
my oldest is four at the this recording.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I know how that goes. So understood.
Yeah,
That 3 under 4, that's quite a bit.
it is.
Mine
Yeah,
are 6 and 9 now, so, or actually 7 and almost 10. I'm losing track, but, yeah, it definitely gets easier once they're a little bit older, but,
yeah.
yeah, so at Level Up, we're gonna be showing even more ways apart from just your brand voice, really understanding how to understand your customers on a deeper level. And so one thing that I always like to tell folks is, everyone's trying to jump on this AI bandwagon. I'm actually gonna stop
Hmm.
sharing my screen here for just a second. I see a lot of like fear messaging around AI, like learn how to prompt AI or you're going to get left behind, and learn, how to sell AI or you're going to get left behind. And I have to say this, that I disagree with that, not because I don't think AI is here to stay. I absolutely think AI is here to stay. I think AI is one of those things that you don't have to be a prompt engineer to leverage it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think if you want to be successful, in business. And this again comes from my years of like working with bigger tech companies and in the movie industry. And I can say with confidence that if you want a successful agency, and if you already have a successful agency, if you're looking to successfully scale it, at the end of the day, the only thing you really need to know is your customer. Understand your customer on the deepest level that you possibly humanly can, and everything else will fall into place. It doesn't matter at that point if you're using AI or if you're using this AI tool or that AI tool. If your focus is not on what is the latest AI tool I can get, jump on, and it's more on what can I learn about my customers that I don't already know today. As long as your focus is on that, your trajectory is definitely like it's gonna scale much bigger than if you're focusing on how do I learn how to prompt AI or which AI tool should I be using right now.
Yeah, I
So
love
yeah,
that.
so all of that said, a lot of what we are going to be demoing at Level Up this year is going to be around that, how to use AI not just to create content or not just for copywriting or not just for the shiny stuff, but how to actually get into your customers' heads in an ethical way.
I love that. I was just telling somebody the other day, like, instead of building, just go out there and sell. I just encouraged him that over and over on the call. He's like, "Well, I need to do it." I was like, "No, no, stop. Go out and find out and sell something, then build it, but stop trying to build it before you sell it." So, I love that you
Exactly.
said that because you need to be more customer focused than like what you're building. And I think that's so important and people lose sight of that within here of the high level space. So I
Yeah.
love that you brought that up. Well, I like to
Absolutely.
ask a lot of my the people who come on my channel, what is one other piece of advice? I know you mentioned, just a minute ago, one piece of advice, but what is one more piece of advice, especially if they're in the high level space, that you'd like to give anybody who's hearing this?
Can I give two? Because I
Oh, of
can't pick
course.
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it all comes back to what we just talked about, right? Just being extremely customer obsessed. One of the best things that you can do to unearth some of these secret truths about your customers, I know that, again, as marketers, we all hear like, go on to Facebook groups, go to wherever your customers are hanging out and see what they're saying. Better than that is talk to your customers, actually talk
Yeah.
to them. Exactly what you just said, right? Like go out and sell, just talk to customers. It doesn't, the idea isn't to actually make that sale initially, it is to
Mhm.
talk to your customers. So whenever you're jumping on a Zoom call, try and record those Zoom calls. Even if you don't know what to do with it yet, that's one of the things we're going to be showing you at Level Up. So all I'm going to say is record those, right? You and then create transcripts out of those so that you can refer back to them. It is amazing how much gold is hiding in your call transcripts that you're not going to find on Facebook groups. Because think about that. Think about it. If you go to Facebook groups, people are very veiled there. I know that people say stupid stuff on social media, but again, it's because I mean, it's there probably should be more veiled in a way, but they're bringing out a side of them that may not actually define who they are, right?
Yeah.
They're either trying to get a reaction out of people or they're scared to get a reaction out of people, and so everything comes from there. But if you're getting on a one-on-one conversation, one-on-one call with your ideal customer, with your prospects, and you're having a one-on-one conversation, there's a lot that's going to come out in that conversation about who they genuinely are and what they're genuinely looking for over
Mhm.
what they're going to share in a Facebook group. So that's like the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone is record your calls, really pay attention to what customers are telling you specifically and not what they're telling somebody else or not what you're going to find, anywhere else. To collect your own customer data. And then the second thing is build your brand narrative is not going to be a static thing, right? So always try and build your brand narrative around that data that you're collecting. As long as you're continuing to do that, that's really the formula for scaling, right? For launching and scaling any business. As long as you are obsessed with your customer story and how you fit in, that is the best way to scale.
Love that. Well, cool. Can you tell us about the pricing, how to get signed up, and everything like that? I'll drop the link below, but is there anything people should know about onboarding process and getting started or which plan that they should maybe choose as an agency owner?
Yeah, I have to
So I
apologize
know
for
we
the very loud bird outside my window right now. If you can hear it, but it's like really going off.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you had a pet bird.
I know. I feel like I do right now. It's like literally outside my window.
That's so funny. So I was gonna ask about like I know you can use it in a custom menu link, but is there anything else we should know about like how it works with high level or pricing packages, etc.?
Yeah, I would say so. We have, if you just go to HeyLevi.ai, that's the standalone version. You can sign up for a free account, just play with it, kind of get a feel for it. But I always recommend never selling something, reselling something to your agency customers that you're not using yourself. And so I highly recommend just trying it out. And if you like it and you see the value in it, then you can, then you can consider white labeling it. And the way to do that is just if you go to HeyLevi.ai, there's a white label section. We have two plans at the moment. One is just for smaller agencies that are just trying to give it to like a handful of customers. So it comes with 5 sub accounts. And then we have the growth plan that is just all inclusive and all you can eat buffet, which has like everything. You do use your own API key. So that's something to keep in mind. We don't rebill, we don't have any markup costs or anything. You're just paying raw usage cost to OpenAI, which is really, really cheap. And they keep getting cheaper. So that's the added cost that doesn't come with the subscription plans. But as far as onboarding your customers and white labeling it, it's really easy to white label because you, again, custom menu link, it just integrates right into your agency. You have a bunch of different options in customizing the look and feel of it. So you can adjust the colors, like you just saw the one that I shared. We have like a yellow and a black and white
Yeah.
theme going on with it, but you can really mess with a bunch of layouts and color options that are built into the system and really make it your own. So
Is there
very
an option to also change the URL for like the subdomain?
there is so you can email us if you want to use your own subdomain. Otherwise, we do have a white label subdomain. It's just it doesn't have Hey Levi in the name anywhere. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. So we could create users under there and like not necessarily be using the custom menu link at that point.
Tell me how you're seeing that work again. You would need a custom menu link.
Right. So if we sold it as like a standalone, is it possible to have the subdomain and they log in without the custom menu link?
No. So at the moment, it does have to be resold within the GHL wrapper. Now, the good news is that you can turn off a lot of the other, what's it called, the features
Hmm.
in your SaaS configurator. The GHL has the ability to do that now. So we do have a bunch of agencies doing that. They like to sell it just as their own thing, but it will be in the GHL wrapper. And the reason for that is we use the GHL login credentials and magic link to log people in without having to log in every single time. So for a more seamless login.
Very cool. All right. Is there anything else we should know about Levi before we log off here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're, looking to understand market positioning and your customers on a much, much deeper level, check us out. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. We love seeing folks come in thinking that they're signing up for a copy or content app and just finding that it does so much more for their actual bottom line. So
I
yeah,
love that.
check us out and let me know how it goes.
Very cool. Well, and just a reminder to everybody, they do have a free plan, and I'll link it here below. If you guys have any questions, please let us know, and I can also route them to her if I see any below that I'm not sure of. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you.